One Piece chapter 1097 dropped recently, and it was quite clear to see that this week's chapter was incredibly amazing for the fans, for various reasons. As was expected, One Piece continued the flashback of Kuma in this week's chapter in some very intriguing ways, to say the least. Fans saw one of the most incredible battles unfold in God Valley in last week's chapter, and while this week's chapter was certainly not as intense, it continued the story of Kuma in a brilliant fashion, adding more depth to his character and exploring his relationships as well. One Piece 1097 was absolutely incredible, and certainly one of the very best in the Egghead Island arc. Kuma starts a new life. Of course, Kuma was at the center of everything in One Piece chapter 1097. Kuma, as fans know, made it back to Sorbet Kingdom in the previous chapter and decided to build his life up from scratch there with Ginny. In this chapter, fans get to see what developments these two characters made towards improving the quality of their lives. It appears that Kuma has now become a pastor, and he's very popular among the old people. This is because Kuma has been using his devil fruit powers to get rid of their pain and grant them a better life. Of course, fans already know why Kuma does this. He wants to be more like Nika, and that is something he has made clear already in the story over the course of the last few chapters. Now, Kuma is getting the opportunity to put all that into motion, and he's doing it brilliantly. The only problem with this idea is that Kuma ends up taking all their pain for himself. This is a really heroic sacrifice on his part, and while Ginny does not like it, for understandable reasons, Kuma absolutely does not mind, mentioning that if he doesn't do it, the pain would simply end up going back to them. One Piece chapter 1097 also focuses on Ginny to an extent. Fans get to see her protect Kuma when he needs protection, even though he's quite a big person himself. Nonetheless, Ginny is always on the lookout for him, and that is brilliant to see. The Revolutionary Army rises. One Piece chapter 1097 also dove deep into the hierarchy in the Sorbet Kingdom. As fans know, Kuma's dad was the king of the Sorbet Kingdom for the longest time. However, after he was taken by the world government and made a slave, a new king arose, called Picori. It appears that this king is very cruel and corrupt. This is very interesting, given that Kuma was once called the tyrant as well. Perhaps it is the reputation of this king that latches itself onto Kuma later down the line, causing some sort of confusion among the people, especially because fans already know that Kuma would never be a tyrant. One Piece chapter 1097 showcases that this king absolutely enjoys hearing about his own brutalities from his victims. His new idea is to split the kingdom in half. The southern side of the kingdom is where the old people are supposed to be, since they don't pay taxes and thus, according to him, they deserve to die. At the same time, the northern half of the kingdom is for the young and the wealthy, who can afford to pay their taxes to the king. This decision, understandably, aggravates Kuma, and he decides to attack the king and the royal army. This leads to his arrest, and immediately after, Kuma's friends protest, and they get themselves locked up as well. This is a very important part of the story, as it leads to the formation of the Revolutionary Army. By this point, the story does well to establish that the freedom fighters have been making waves across the world. However, when they hear about the events going on in the Sorbet Kingdom, they come to the place and overthrow the king. In doing so, they also liberate Kuma as well as his friends. This gives an opportunity for both Kuma and Ginny to join the freedom fighters. When these two characters join, this is where the freedom fighters turn into the Revolutionary Army. Kuma becomes one of the three pillars of the Revolutionary Army, while Ginny becomes the commander of the East Army of the group. Ginny's kidnapping. One Piece chapter 1097 then goes on to focus on the Revolutionary Army and their incredible growth. It is clear to see that the Revolutionary Army does not have enough funding. For this reason, they become a mercenary group and take whatever tasks of liberation they get in order to expand their operations. They succeed in doing so to quite a great extent, and it appears that they even manage to establish a base for themselves at Baltigo. Dragon leads a calculating revolution, and that is something fans already know. To that end, he leads a very smart revolution, placing his many commanders all over the world. For example, Ginny, who commands the East Army, is sent to a particular location. Kuma leads some other operations, and so do the other commanders. One Piece Chapter 1097 solidifies this even further, and fans get to see a proper look at the different armies in function. Towards the end of the chapter, it is believed that the East Army led by Jinny is to meet with Kuma and the army that he is leading. However, unfortunately, before that comes to pass, someone with vicious plans attacks Jinny's group and takes them by surprise. Over at the Revolutionary Army headquarters, Dragon receives the message that Jinny has been kidnapped, and now things are starting to get more interesting. What ends up happening with Jinny is not revealed in One Piece Chapter 1097, as that is exactly where the chapter ends. However, the stage has been set for a rescue mission to be led by the likes of Kuma. The next chapter of One Piece is going to be extremely interesting, and this one served as the basis for what is to come in regards to the Revolutionary Army, as well as the life of Kuma. And in other news, One Piece episode 1082 reveals Shanks' true power. One Piece anime has been focusing on the aftermath of the Battle of Onigashima. Luffy and his crew were at the epicenter of the action, and it was due to their hard work that Wano was liberated from the clutches of Kaido. While the heroes were busy celebrating their victory, a new enemy made his way to the land of samurai. This foe was none other than Ryukyu, one of the 3 current admirals in One Piece. He traveled to Wano following his disappointing effort to stop Sabo and the rest of the Revolutionary Army from freeing Bartholomew Kuma. The loss might have motivated Ryukyu to go to Wano and make amends. Either that, or he wanted to get into Akainu's good books by handing over Luffy to him. Upon entering Wano, Ryukyu's first course of action was to attack and nullify the threat of the Beast's pirates. They were already beaten badly, but the Admiral wanted to make sure that they wouldn't pose a threat to him later on. As he continued to move toward the Flower Capital, the Scabbards sensed his presence and lunged into action. They knew that they could not let the Straw Hats and the other allies bear the burden of protecting Wano yet again. So, they decided to take matters into their own hands and attack the Admiral. Ryukyu managed to overwhelm them with his Mori Mori no Mi Yamato, and Momonosuke joined the fray as well. But surprisingly, Momonosuke asked Yamato to step down. He kept insisting that Yamato should not fight at any cost. Slowly, the Scabbards and Momonosuke began to push back the Admiral. However, they gained an unexpected ally in Shanks, who was on the outskirts of Wano. Shanks was not impressed by Ryukyu's behavior, so he decided to unleash a burst of Haki that sent shivers down the Admiral's spine. Ryukyu knew that he could not compete with Shanks, so he decided to retreat. Shanks' power. This small instance proves that Shanks is not an ordinary pirate. He is in a class of his own, and there are not many characters who can fight him. Fans have already seen how dangerous an admiral is, and how they can cause trouble for the most powerful criminals. For Shanks to scare Ryukyu like that was exemplary. He didn't even attempt to attack the admiral, as he just wanted to stop him. So, it is fair to assume that if he were serious, Ryukyu would have been defeated easily. From the very beginning, fans have speculated that Shanks' Haki is among the very best, and it is slowly being proven. Shanks has fully mastered Haoshiku Haki, and he might even be a better user than Kaido. Aside from Haoshiku Haki, Shanks also has access to Kenbunchiku Haki, with which he can see the future. This is a very big advantage in fights against strong opponents, as it allows Shanks to effectively dodge all incoming attacks. He can also attack the spot where his opponent might move. Why Shanks is near Wano? Shanks unexpectedly turned up outside Wano after being away from the action in Onigashima. Fans were surprised to see the Yonko near Wano, and, naturally, questioned what he wanted to do in the country. Not long afterward, Shanks told Ben Beckman, his right-hand man, that it was about time that they made their move to claim the One Piece. This was a shocking admission on Shanks' part, as he had never expressed any desire to claim the treasure. This confirms that he is in contention to get the One Piece. There are many questions in the minds of the viewers, such as why Shanks is making a move so late. The most plausible answer is that Shanks knows that the competition is heating up, and it won't be long before the other big names try to lay their hands on the One Piece. So, if he decides to be passive in his approach, then someone will take the treasure belonging to his late captain. For now, Luffy seems to be the person who is closest to the treasure, as he has 3 of the 4 road poneglyphs. He just needs to find out the location of the final one, and then he can make his journey to Laugh Tale. but it won't be easy to find the fourth road poneglyph, as it was moved from its last known location, and its current whereabouts remain unknown. There is a chance that it may be on Elbaf, the land of giants. So Luffy may decide to head in that direction soon to get his hands on the piece that will guide him to the treasure that he has dreamed of taking ever since he was a kid. Shanks traveled with the Roger pirates when they found all 4 road poneglyphs, so there is a chance that he may know about the writing on all of them. He may even know about the location of one that has gone missing. One thing is for certain, things are heating up, and it won't be long before fans get to see Shanks in action yet again. That's a wrap for this video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back with more amazing videos very soon.